death involving cyanide. Who could be that irresponsible? What's up, everyone? Tiger Stacker here. As I've told all of you before, in my past, I was not much of a saver. And then I woke up in 2021 and I started learning about gold and silver and started off buying fractional and full ounces of both gold and silver, as well as coins of the realm. And I found out something about myself as time went on. Even though I am primarily a stacker, there's a little bit of me that's a collector. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that are collectors that have a little bit of stacker in them. I spent a great deal of time priorly wasting my money on pretty things, and I was not very good at saving money. This allowed me to satisfy both parts of my personality. The one that wanted to learn how to save money, and the other part of me that liked to keep pretty things. And if you think about it, gold and silver are very attractive. But then I started to explore things that I never thought I would. Collectible coins, not only for myself, but also to teach my grandson. Constitutional. Foreign coins of multiple different types. And after the name change, tigers, but also animals. Old coins of the past, such as trade dollars. I moved away from 1 ounce bars to very pretty 10-ounce bars, and some that were not quite 10 ounces. And then into atypical shaped silver, such as comic slices. Modern day bars, but also vintage bars. Even though they weren't that pretty because of their collector's value and their history. I went into areas that I never would have gone into when I first started stacking. Even going into a type of bar I said I would never go into. 100-ounce bars. Why? They're very attractive. And then also larger collectibles. Why? They're very attractive. Then one day at an auction at T the Silver Stacker, I saw this and bought this for this amount of money. BR McKay and Sons. Not very attractive. But then 3 months later, on 3 separate auctions, I bought one more and another and even another for the prices that you've seen. Why would I do this? They're not very pretty. I mean, heck, I'm a new silver pourer, and even my unfinished products are more attractive than these things. But then you add in, when they're finished, they're even more attractive than these things. Why? And why would I be willing to spend more money than stacking? Because of the story. This story revolves around an old company that is now defunct. BR McKay and Sons. But more than that, it revolves around death. I'm a physician. I've spent my entire life working to become a doctor and then working hard to save lives. So this story intrigued me because it has history, mystery, science, and death. So when I heard this story, my ears perked up. Death from cyanide? Who could be so irresponsible? How could this happen? Why was cyanide used? Could there not be something better? Well, the story originally was that BR McKay and Sons was sent to prison for this. But that's not the only version of the story. Another version is the company that actually was involved in the extraction of silver to make these products actually got arrested, and they tried to arrest BR McKay. And the story gets a little convoluted from here. One story says he was put in jail. The other story says he wasn't. The story that says he wasn't says he is a citizen of the state of Utah, and because of political reasons and the hierarchy that existed in Utah, the state of Indiana failed multiple times to have him extradited. If it wasn't for this story and the mystery that I could not leave alone, and the science of cyanide, I never would have bought these bars. But now I had to have them, and I had to start looking for the truth. BR McKay and Sons are highly collectible old pours that came in many sizes, typically the 10-ounce size, but as you can see, not exactly as you would expect with products today. More like amateur pourers such as myself, but yet they were a big name in their day. They are denoted by having 3 separate water droplets, which after the death, people renamed them the blood droplets, and subsequently the blood bar. They got their silver off of old X-ray film. Those of you old enough to remember, X-rays were on films that you put up against a light source and looked at the differentials between the different lights to determine if something was of higher or lower density, because there's basically 5 densities that affect the transparency of an X-ray: gas, water, fat, mineral, in this case mostly calcium or bone, and metal. Because of Nikola Tesla and other researchers, X-rays were developed, which allowed us to do more accurate diagnostic tests. So when these films were done, people wanted to collect the silver. And the company that BR McKay was affiliated with took the silver off the X-ray films using a cyanide process. Once again, why? Was there nothing safer? BR McKay and Sons was out of Utah, but they got their products out of Indiana. In 1983, the owner was indicted on manslaughter after an employee died from cyanide poisoning. How could that happen? How many murder mysteries, spy novels, and movies have you seen where cyanide was used to kill?
Hail Hydra!
Not all cyanide is as deadly. Some of them are, such as cyanide affiliated with sodium, potassium, hydrogen, and cyanogen are lethal, but other compounds called the nitriles are not. And you can find them in certain substances such as Celexa, Tagamet, which are not deadly because they don't release the cyanide anion. Cyanide prevents the use of oxygen to make adenosine triphosphate, ATP, in mitochondria that is within cells. It produces an irreversible enzyme inhibitor. Without that energy, the cells die. And when you have enough critical cells die, such as your heart or your lungs, you die. And even though cyanide has been used as a poison and chemical warfare, most people are exposed to it unintentionally. But you can also find it in certain foods: beans, bamboo shoots, almonds, apple seeds, cherry stones, apricot pits, peach pits, cigarettes, burning plastic, burning coal, house fires, contaminated water. Even some sugars have cyanoglycosides. You can even find it in paper, textile, photochemical plastics, mining, metallurgy industries. Cyanide gas is less dense than air and will rise, and has often been associated with an odor of bitter almonds. The symptoms include headaches, dizziness, weakness, confusion, fatigue, lack of coordination, low blood pressure, unconsciousness, convulsions, slow heart rate, liver damage, respiratory damage, coma, and even death. Death usually occurs from respiratory or heart failure. The skin can have either a cherry red looking skin or a dark blue tint. The body and its fluids of the deceased usually has an odor of almonds. Death occurs quickly within seconds because of inhaling a high dose of cyanide, but lower doses, such as ingestion, can take a few hours to a couple days. You could only have a chance with the slower component through the administration of antidotes that detoxify cyanide and bind to it. B12, hydroxycobalamin, which allows you to excrete it in the urine. Inhalation of amyl nitrite, used to aid victims who have respiratory problems, which is also, by the way, used for carbon monoxide poisoning. So knowing all this, who could be that irresponsible? Well, I reached out to my friend Frostbite Coins and Collectables. My research was running into walls. And even though I can't stand a mystery, I don't like research as much as other people. I'm mainly a stacker who has a little bit of collector in him. But a numismatist studies coins, errors, history to a greater depth than what I do. So if you want to hear about the rest of the story, go to Frostbite Coins and Collectables and also subscribe to him, and you will see more of the story from his research. So let's go there right now. Frosty, take it from here.